Dragon Ball Super Broly is the worst thing that could have happened to the franchise at this time. And yeah, you can come after me all you want. I don't care. Because I'm right. And if you would take the time to listen to me, you might see my way. Let's get into it.
Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and follow me on these social media platforms. Enjoy the video.
So, what do I mean by saying Dragon Ball Super Broly was the worst thing that Dragon Ball could have done at this time? At least story-wise, because Dragon Ball Super Broly has made 100 million at the worldwide box office in Japan, North America, just every single market over 100 million. That's a huge accomplishment going into a theatrical film that's put out and marketed the same way that this film was. So by no means am I saying that this is the worst thing that's ever happened to the franchise. I'm not. I want to throw that out there immediately first thing because I like what this movie has done for the franchise. It's really opened up the market and made, I guess, like liking anime acceptable, especially for kids who are much younger than me, who might be more guarded about what it is that they like and how they want to express themselves, and the fact that they like Dragon Ball, they might find that as an embarrassment, because I know I did when I was that age, and I don't want anyone to feel like liking Dragon Ball is a bad thing. Liking Dragon Ball is okay, it's cool, it's actually mainstream now. Liking anime because you like Dragon Ball is kind of more mainstream now than it was just a decade or a decade and a half ago. So if the idea here was to make Dragon Ball so incredibly mainstream that it becomes more sympathetic to like anime, or at least announce that you like anime in public settings more than it was like 15 years ago or something when I was in high school, then that's totally fine. Because that's exactly what's happened here, and I completely agree with anyone who wants to argue on that side of the matter. What I'm arguing here is completely story-based for the world of Dragon Ball, and why I feel like Dragon Ball Super Broly was the absolute wrong move to make for this franchise, and I wish that they had done something completely different and not completely relied on fan-driven nostalgia that brought Broly not only from the first 3 films that he was in the Dragon Ball Z days, but propelled him throughout the video game era and now this new movie into bigger and better heights. Because I feel like Dragon Ball Super set up something that was so much more and so much better than what Broly could ever bring to the screen, and that is the concept of the multiverse. Focusing on Broly focused us on Universe 7 and the perils and strength and resilience that still was Universe 7, that focused on the Dragon Balls from the Earth and focused us further and further away on the perils of the multiverse and exploring that world that was set up in Dragon Ball Super. And if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that that's the one thing I want from Dragon Ball. It's the one thing that I focused on ever since Battle of Gods was released in 2013 and 2014 in the domestic market, exploring the multiverse of Dragon Ball Super and exploring these various worlds and maybe villains, or maybe just competitors to Goku and Vegeta in an interesting way. And I feel like Dragon Ball Super, as much as I enjoyed the arcs, and I really did like the Champa tournament, I like the Future Trunks arc for what it's worth, and I feel like the Tournament of Power is one of the best arcs that Dragon Ball has ever put out there. And I'm not just talking about Dragon Ball Z, I'm talking about Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball GT, Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball Super. Just one of the best arcs in the entirety of this series history. And I feel like the one thing that we are focusing on now is more and more of Universe 7. Their characters, the relationships, and the mythology of Universe 7 and the threats that come from this universe, instead of focusing more on these other universes that we haven't gotten to explore. And the very fact that we had the Tournament of Power introduce all these various warriors that had absolutely no chance against Goku and Vegeta was just simply brushing all of that potential under the rug and saying that, yeah, these universes exist, but Goku and Vegeta can easily stomp out any threat that comes across this universe or Universe 6 or 7 or anything that threatens them, because these people who are supposed to be the strongest people in that universe cannot stand up to them. It's crazy to me that Dragon Ball has created a multiverse and done absolutely nothing with it, and decides in each and every turn to focus on its own mythology within its own universe instead of exploring outward, even though Goku and Vegeta could go from one universe to another and not cause that many raising eyebrows between Beerus, Whis, Vados, Champa, or anybody else in the multiverse. I feel like focusing on Broly, creating an entire movie around his character as an antagonist that has been there ever since the dawn of time, or at least the dawn of Goku's story or before it, and showing exactly why he hasn't been around or exactly why he's making his name known to Goku and Vegeta, are two most prominent characters in this mythology at this time, after all this other stuff has been introduced, is kind of a step backward for the series. And I wish that they would focus on more stories related to Universe 6 or Universe 2 or Universe 11 or any of the other universes that we didn't get to see in the Tournament of Power, because that is where the future of this narrative is. It's exploring those characters and those situations and those stories that could give us, and not continually reintroducing things that exist in the universe that we've been in for the vast majority of the series, with Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and also Dragon Ball Super. Because if these characters have been around, it's going to start getting more and more ridiculous to try to explain why we haven't sensed them before. As I've already said, Dragon Ball Super as a whole became kind of a little inconsistent when you had Goku sensing Frieza when he was resurrected in Fukkatsu no F and put back together in his first form that had a power level of 530,000, which is kind of small in the overwhelming scheme of things from where we were when Frieza was first introduced to where we were then in Dragon Ball Super. And knowing that Goku can sense him from Beerus' planet all the way across Earth. And it took Gohan almost killing himself powering up for Goku to get any sense of where they were, to go from Beerus' planet all the way back to Earth in the Fukkatsu no F storyline of Dragon Ball Super. But Broly has been around this entire time and no one has been able to sense him. I don't even care if he's not even been close to where he was when he was in the movie. It doesn't make any sense, and it just kind of boggles my mind that this is something that people gravitate towards. Like, okay, yeah, it makes sense because of this or that, because focusing on the power scaling, it doesn't really make any sense. And I really wish the franchise would focus on something completely different than some threat that comes within Universe 7. I want Goku to go up against people from other universes and have to face other entities and other threats outside of it. And it's not like the manga is free from this. The current villain in the manga is deeply rooted in the mythology and lore of Universe 7 and not in other universes. What was the point of bringing in the multiverse if you had no ideas and no concepts with these universes or any antagonizing forces that they might create in the future if you had no idea? Like, I don't know. And I hope everyone understands where I'm coming from this. Like, I understand that if people don't want to see it my way and they want to just simply jump on me that I'm being a hater and whatnot, I guess I understand that. I feel like you're wrong. I feel like I've made like a point here and we should discuss it as a community and not filled with hate or, you know, vendettas between one person or another. Just simply talk about it, because I feel like this is a major problem that the series is going to have, not only right now, but for the immediate future of the series. We need to focus on the multiverse and all these other characters that the Tournament of Power and all the other arcs have introduced, Goku and Vegeta can go from one universe to another and face threats that were never there and never posed any threat to them in the first part of the series, because that only makes sense. But focusing on threats and potential threats in Universe 7 starts to become a little bit more wacky when you start building the franchise out further and past the original concept of just being one world or infinite space or a universe to another universe or just multiverse. What are your thoughts on this, guys? Tell me in the comment section below. Do you feel like Dragon Ball Super is kind of dropping the ball when it comes to telling compelling stories with compelling characters that can help drive the series forward? Are we focusing too much in Universe 7 with the reintroduction of movie characters like Broly? Or do you feel like that's the best possible direction for this franchise to go? Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. And also go down to the description section below, hit that link, and go follow me on Twitter if you want to talk to me about Dragon Ball or any horror movie related topic that you want to talk about. I talk about the Saw franchise, Halloween, or anything else that you want to talk about from my Real Talk channel, the box office news from anything that's coming out this week or sometime in the past or in the future or anything else like that. I'm always up to talk about anything on Twitter, and it's so much easier to talk to me on there. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. As I said, it's been real.